Chosen one, the step you just took was not random, it was not small. Something in you moved before fear could stop it. That movement matters more than you know. For nearly 10 years, you may have felt trapped inside the same unanswered prayer, the same delayed opportunity, and the same invisible wall. But the wall did not move first. You did. Before this message ends, you will understand why one quiet decision may have opened what I call the decade door. You will also see why the first evidence of your blessing may look so ordinary that an old version of you could miss it. There is a dangerous moment after every real breakthrough. It comes before the results become obvious. Your past returns with familiar thoughts, and it tries to convince you that nothing has changed. Stay with me, because you are about to learn how to recognize that voice before it pulls you backward. A blessing becomes usable when three things meet: recognition, permission, and action. First, you see what is opening. Then you believe you are allowed to receive it. Finally, you move before fear rebuilds the wall. Think about the step you just took. Maybe you said no. Maybe you walked away. Maybe you searched for a new answer instead of repeating an old complaint. Whatever it was, it revealed a shift in identity. If you recognize this shift in yourself right, the door moved. The waiting season does not always end with thunder. Sometimes it ends when you make one honest move and refuse to abandon yourself again. The most powerful move is rarely the loudest one. It may not impress anyone. It may not make sense to the people around you. But deep inside, you know something changed because you responded differently than the person you used to be. Maybe you stopped returning to a place that made you smaller. Maybe you told the truth without preparing a long defense. These actions look ordinary, but they reveal a deeper shift. I call this the first motion. It is the moment when your new identity acts before your new circumstances appear. The outside world may still look familiar, yet the person making the next decision is no longer the same person. You may think you are still waiting for confirmation, but your willingness to move without complete certainty is the confirmation. Fear no longer has total control. But there is one mistake people make after a breakthrough like this, and if you repeat it, you may miss the first evidence that the waiting season has ended. They expect the next sign to be enormous. They wait for a dramatic phone call. They wait for money to appear overnight. They wait for every doubt to disappear. While watching the sky for lightning, they ignore the quiet invitation already in front of them. Your first doorway may be a message. It may be a small idea. It may be a simple tool that helps you think more clearly. The doorway only needs to lead somewhere new. This is why your recent move matters. You acted before the full map arrived. You allowed truth to become more important than comfort. You gave yourself permission to take one honest step, even while part of you still felt afraid. Do not demand that the whole future prove itself today. Notice what has changed in you. Notice what you no longer tolerate. Notice what you are finally willing to consider. These are signs that an old agreement is losing power. The waiting season begins to end when you stop asking fear for permission. Your task is not to force a miracle. Your task is to recognize the first practical opening and respond before the old voice teaches you to doubt it again. The first sign is simple. You are no longer asking everyone for permission to become yourself. You may still care about their feelings, but you no longer allow their fear to make every important decision for you. For years, you may have studied every reaction before taking a step. You changed your words to remain acceptable. Each time you abandoned your truth, you moved farther from the life you were meant to live. Recently, something became different. You may have said no without writing an apology afterward. You may have stopped chasing approval from people who only felt comfortable when you stayed small. That is not selfishness. It is inner permission. It begins when you stop treating another person's discomfort as proof that your decision is wrong. You can love people deeply and still refuse to hand them authority over your future. This shift can make certain relationships feel tense. Old patterns depend on predictable behavior. When you become clearer, people who benefited from your confusion may call your clarity cold. Do not rush to fight them. Do not waste energy proving your growth. Let your consistency speak. A boundary becomes real when you keep it calmly, especially after someone tests whether guilt can still make you surrender it. You may also notice that silence feels different now. It no longer feels like punishment. It feels cleaner than explaining yourself to someone committed to misunderstanding you. That peace shows that external permission is losing its hold. Picture tomorrow morning. You wake without checking for approval. You know the first honest task in front of you, and you begin before doubt creates 10 unnecessary plans. This is how a new life starts. Not with everyone agreeing, not with every fear disappearing. It starts when your inner permission becomes stronger than the pressure to betray yourself. The people meant to walk with you will adjust to your truth. Either way, your assignment remains the same. Stay kind, stay clear. Do not return to the version of you who needed permission to exist. What looked like 10 years of rejection may have been 10 years of preparation. The proof is hidden in changes you may have noticed without understanding them. Your desires shifted. Your patterns became easier to see. Your peace became more valuable than belonging at any cost. You may not want some things that once controlled you. You spent years chasing them, believing they would prove your worth. Now they seem smaller because the person who needed them has started to disappear. You also notice patterns earlier. You hear the familiar promise. You feel the old pressure. But now you can see where the path leads before reaching the same painful ending. That awareness is not bitterness. It is discernment earned through experience. You are less willing to trade peace for acceptance. You no longer call emotional exhaustion love, and you no longer call constant confusion a divine test. Some of those years were truly painful. Some doors really closed. Some people were unfair. This message does not ask you to pretend every loss was beautiful, because healing begins when the truth remains true. Yet pain was not the only thing being formed. You gained standards. You learned which promises had no weight. You discovered how your body feels when something is wrong, and you began asking better questions before giving away your trust. I call this compressed preparation. It happens when years of lessons gather inside one clear decision. A choice that looks sudden may contain a decade of private learning, failed attempts, quiet prayers, and near surrender. It comes from someone who has tested illusion, survived disappointment, and learned what peace feels like. Right, nothing was wasted. Not because every wound was necessary, not because every delay was good, but because you can use what you learned without remaining trapped inside what hurt you. Take one quiet breath. Remember who you were 10 years ago. Do not judge that version of you. That person chose with the understanding they had and kept walking with strength they could not yet name. The past is not asking you to return. It is asking you to collect the wisdom you left there. The decade door opens when preparation stops feeling like punishment and starts becoming direction. The third sign is easy to miss. The first form of your blessing may look ordinary. It may not arrive with a dramatic sign or a moment that removes every doubt. The opportunity you have been asking for may not look important. In fact, the first form of your blessing may be so ordinary that only a clear mind will recognize it. That is why many people keep waiting after the door has opened. They expect a life-changing phone call. They expect money to appear overnight, while waiting for something impossible to ignore. They overlook what quietly asks for a response. Your opening may be an email. It may be one honest conversation. It may be an idea that arrives while you are walking. It may be a small job, a new introduction, or a useful tool. The doorway does not need to look impressive. It only needs to lead somewhere new. A small decision can change the people you meet, the information you receive, and the choices that appear next. This is where many people lose momentum. They call the opportunity too simple. They wait for stronger emotion. They ask for more confirmation, because certainty feels safer than movement. I call this the recognition gap. It is the distance between an opportunity appearing, your mind recognizing its value, your heart believing you may receive it, and your body taking action before fear rewrites the moment. Some people do not lack opportunity. They lack enough clarity to evaluate it before anxiety distorts it. Stress makes every new path look dangerous, while old pain makes familiar limits feel safe. So watch what appears next. Do not follow every impulse, but do not dismiss a practical opening only because it arrived without thunder. Ask simple questions. Does this move respect my values? Does it create useful information? Can I test it without betraying myself? If the answer is yes, the next step may not require certainty. It may only require attention. What if the fog you called a lack of signs is partly connected to how your mind is processing intuition, logic, pressure, and possibility? There may be a reason you could imagine, create, and sense possibility more freely as a child. Modern life changed how you use that ability, and the effect may explain more than most people realize. As a child, an idea became a game, a question became an experiment. You did not need a complete plan before exploring what felt possible. Over time, many people rely on one style of thinking. Some become analytical but lose contact with intuition. Others feel everything deeply but struggle to turn insight into a practical sequence. Researchers have studied how brain regions contribute to language, patterns, planning, and interpretation. The science is complex, but one useful question remains. What happens when the parts of your mind that analyze and the parts that recognize patterns begin cooperating more effectively? Could greater coordination help you notice an option that stress once hid? A research team later built a short listening approach around this idea. The goal was not to replace prayer, intuition, discipline, or action. It was designed to support a state where different modes of processing could work with less friction. This matters because you may already sense the next direction. Yet one part questions it, another fears it, and another tries to calculate every outcome before one honest step. The method I will reveal later is not magic. It cannot create a blessing, make a decision for you, or guarantee a result. It offers a practical way to explore whether greater mental coordination changes what you notice. So what happens when intuition and analysis stop competing long enough for you to recognize the next move clearly? There was a time when possibility felt natural. You could turn a chair into a spaceship, a blanket into a kingdom, and one question into an entire world. You did not ask whether imagination was practical. As a child, you explored before you judged. You created before you compared. You moved toward curiosity without demanding proof that every idea would work. That freedom was a form of intelligence. Then life taught you to narrow the field. School rewarded the correct answer. Work rewarded predictable behavior. Stress trained your attention to search for danger before possibility. And those lessons changed how freely you accessed your own mind. You learned to edit an idea before speaking it. You dismissed creative thoughts before testing them. You started confusing caution with wisdom, because disappointment made every new direction feel dangerous. Constant alerts divided your attention. Your mind became busy, but not always clear. You consumed more while feeling less connected to useful insight. This does not mean your ability disappeared. It may mean access became inconsistent. The creative part of you was not destroyed. It was covered by pressure, repetition, fear, and the habit of asking what could go wrong first. Creativity research often suggests that children display more divergent thinking than adults. The exact numbers are debated, but the larger pattern feels familiar. You remember how open you once felt. You also remember when that openness began to close. That memory is not here to make you grieve forever. It is here to show that your current limits may not be your original design. You are not trying to install a stranger's intelligence. You are recovering access to capacities that pressure taught you to silence. This season may feel less like becoming someone new and more like remembering yourself before fear became your editor. Imagine seeing 3 options instead of 1. Imagine speaking an idea before shame rejects it. Imagine sensing a direction, then giving it a practical plan. This is where intuition and structure can serve each other. One notices the pattern, the other builds the path. One recognizes possibility, the other tests whether it can survive contact with real life. And there is a discovery from 1981 that helps explain why this partnership matters. It did not prove every popular claim about the brain, and it did not create a miracle formula. But it offered a foundation for understanding specialized brain functions and asking whether better coordination could restore what pressure pushed into the background. A Nobel Prize-winning discovery uncovered part of the answer, but the most important question is not only what scientists found, it is whether the ability they studied can become more accessible in daily life. In 1981, Dr. Roger Sperry received the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine for research involving specialized functions of the brain's 2 hemispheres. His work helped show that different regions can contribute in different ways. This does not mean one side is logical and the other side is mystical. Real brain function is more complex. Language, planning, pattern recognition, spatial awareness, and emotion involve networks that work together across the brain. The useful point is coordination. One system may help you analyze sequence and detail. Another may help you notice pattern, context, and the whole picture. Neither is enough alone when your life requires both insight and action. You may sense that a situation is wrong, but struggle to explain why. Or you may understand every fact while missing the deeper pattern. When those modes compete, a clear next step can become buried under noise. The product materials behind the method I will reveal draw inspiration from research on specialized brain functions and hemisphere coordination. That research does not directly prove the product works for every person. It also does not prove that listening to one audio creates genius, money, healing, or spiritual power. Those claims would go beyond what the science can support. The honest question is simpler. Can a structured listening experience help some people enter a calmer, more integrated state, where intuition and analysis can cooperate with less friction? That is the idea worth testing. I call this receiver restoration. Your brain does not manufacture a blessing, but every opportunity must still pass through your attention, your judgment, and your willingness to act. A clearer receiver may notice a useful detail sooner. It may separate fear from discernment. It may help you turn an inner signal into a practical decision instead of losing it inside stress. Spiritual language can become vague. Neuroscience can also become oversimplified. The goal is not to choose whichever language sounds more impressive. The goal is to find a practical way to evaluate your own experience. You do not need blind faith. You need a low-risk test, a clear routine, and enough honesty to notice whether anything changes. That is why the next step matters. Later, I will show you the 8-minute tool built around this idea. Before that reveal, you need one simple exercise that exposes your own recognition gap without asking you to believe a single promise. Think of one problem you have been trying to solve for months. Do not choose 10 problems. Choose the one that keeps returning when the room becomes quiet. Now imagine a page divided into 2 simple sides. On the first side, write what I know. On the second side, write what I sense. Under what I know, place the facts. What happened? What failed? What can you verify? without guessing. Under what I sense, place the signals you keep dismissing. Which option creates quiet expansion? Which direction keeps returning? Do not force an answer. Let both sides remain visible. Then look for one point where fact and inner knowing meet. That point may be a phone call, it may be an application, it may be a boundary, a question, or 1 hour spent testing an idea. The step should be small enough to verify within the next 48 hours. This is not permission to follow every impulse. Intuition does not replace logic. One reveals a pattern, while the other checks whether the next move is practical. When both point in the same direction, pay attention. You may not have certainty, but you have enough information to test the path without surrendering your values. This exercise reveals the recognition gap. Sometimes the answer is not absent, it is divided. One part of you knows the facts, another senses the pattern, and fear keeps them from meeting. More effort did not always produce more clarity. Sometimes the better move is reducing the noise, so the waiting step becomes visible. Right, I can recognize it. Let those words mark a change in how you receive guidance. You are not promising that every feeling is correct. You are promising to examine what appears before fear automatically rejects it. In a moment, I will tell you what happened to a woman in California who believed her spiritual channel had closed, and why her experience changed, how she understood the fog surrounding her. But first, keep your chosen problem in mind. Ask one final question. What is the smallest honest action that both your facts and your deeper awareness can support today? You do not need the whole road. You need one testable step. That step can create new information, and new information can reveal the doorway that waiting alone could never show you. Now, the pattern is complete. The step you took revealed a new identity. The last 10 years gave you discernment and standards. The next season depends on whether you recognize a small opening, trust what is true, and act before fear turns clarity into confusion. Your blessing is not being reduced to brain function. But every calling must pass through human attention, judgment, and action. A door can open near you, yet remain unused when the receiver is overwhelmed by noise. You do not need another long lecture. You need a simple way to test whether coordination helps you see the next move. Now, I want to close the loop opened earlier. I told you there was a short listening method inspired by research on brain coordination. I waited because a solution becomes useful after you understand the problem it addresses. You now understand the recognition gap. You see why intuition without structure can drift, and why analysis without wider awareness can become a prison. So return to the question you have been holding. What happens when intuition and analysis stop competing long enough for you to recognize the next move clearly? The answer is not more pressure. It is a state where different modes of thought can cooperate with less friction. That is the purpose behind a digital audio program called the Genius Switch. The Genius Switch is an 8-minute targeted auditory sequence. It is presented by Doctor Daniel Barone, a neurologist in New York City. The method is described as neural sync technology, designed to support what the creators call whole brain activation. This is not a promise that one audio will create genius. It is not a medical cure. It does not guarantee money, healing, or spiritual power. It is a short daily protocol built around the idea that better coordination may support clearer thinking. The routine is simple. Put on headphones, close your eyes, relax, listen for 8 minutes. You do not need a mantra, written affirmations, or a long meditation. The creators separate this method from ordinary audio tracks found online. Their focus is not a popular frequency label. Their claim centers on a structured sequence intended to support coordination across different modes of brain processing. Consider a nurse from California described in the product materials. She felt life kept happening to her. Her mind was foggy, her stress was constant, and the inner connection she once trusted seemed blocked. She had tried other approaches. Nothing seemed to click. After using the audio for about 10 days, she reported feeling lighter and clearer. She described it as though a channel inside her had started opening again. She also said the difference affected her marriage. According to her account, she became more present and less trapped inside the mental weight she had accepted as normal. That is one personal experience, not a guaranteed result. Another account comes from a business owner and father in Texas. He had lived with brain fog for so long that he no longer recognized it. Prayer felt blocked. Decisions felt heavier than they should. After about 2 weeks, he reported greater mental clarity. The practical change was not a sudden miracle. It was his ability to make decisions, manage his work, and respond with more confidence. The offer includes lifetime access to the digital audio. The list price is $49. The current page presents an additional discount, bringing the price to $39. There is no shipping fee. Access is sent by email after purchase. The current price may change, so review the official page before deciding. The purchase also includes 4 digital bonuses. The first is a guided visualization focused on money, love, health, and happiness. The second is a smart grocery guide with food information and shopping shortcuts. The third is a classic manifestation book, more than 100 years old. The fourth is a printable guide covering 5 habits for building an ideal future. There is also a money-back guarantee described on the product page. According to the materials, you can request a refund if you try the program and decide it is not right for you. This is not for everyone. It is for the person who knows waiting is no longer a strategy. It is for someone who wants a simple experiment rather than another demanding system that takes hours every day. It is for the chosen one ready to test a practical tool without turning that tool into an idol. The audio cannot make your choices. It cannot replace prayer, discipline, medical care, or honest action. But it may offer a structured way to explore whether 8 quiet minutes help you approach the next decision with greater clarity. The official page is linked below. Read the details yourself. Check the current price, guarantee, and terms before buying. If this is an affiliate link, the channel may receive a commission at no extra cost to you. Open the official page and decide whether 8 minutes a day is a fair experiment for the season you are entering. The real test is what you choose when a practical doorway asks you to move before certainty arrives. You may have questions. That is reasonable. A clear decision should not require you to silence your doubts. Maybe you tried other audio programs before. You listened for days, expected a change, and felt nothing. That disappointment made every new claim sound familiar. The Genius Switch is positioned differently from common tracks found online. Its creators describe it as a structured neural sync sequence, focused on coordination rather than a simple frequency label. That distinction is not proof. It only explains what makes the offer different. Judge the experience by what you notice in your attention, clarity, and daily decisions. Maybe 8 minutes sounds too simple. Simplicity describes the routine. It does not prove the result. You do not need blind belief, and you do not need to reject it only because it is short. The guarantee lets you evaluate the method without pretending certainty. Read the refund terms, follow the protocol, and decide from your own experience. Maybe $39 is meaningful money. That is true. Do not use money needed for food, housing, medicine, or urgent responsibilities. For someone who can afford it, the offer includes lifetime digital access and the listed bonuses. The guarantee may reduce risk, but it should never replace a responsible choice. According to the product materials, the official sequence is distributed only through its website. Verify the creator, price, guarantee, and support details before purchasing. Most importantly, this tool does not replace faith. It does not replace prayer, sleep, medical guidance, discipline, or action. A tool may support a state, but it cannot live your life for you. You are not being asked to buy access to a blessing. You are being invited to consider one practical experiment. The decision remains yours. There is no shame in saying no. Examine what is offered, protect your responsibilities, and choose without fear. If you try it, keep your expectations honest. Look for practical changes in focus, decisions, and follow through, not dramatic promises that no responsible person can guarantee. Your power is not hidden inside a product. It appears through awareness, choice, and action. The right tool may support that process, but you must walk through the door. The waiting season does not end when every question disappears. It ends when you stop using uncertainty as permission to remain still. Now protect the momentum that move created. The Genius Switch offers one simple experiment, 8 minutes a day, digital access, a current price of $39 on the official page, and a money-back guarantee described in the offer. Check every detail yourself before deciding. The price may change, but the deeper cost is not only money. It is another useful idea dismissed, another honest conversation delayed, or another doorway ignored because it did not look dramatic enough. Imagine the next few weeks. You notice decisions sooner. You finish a task that has followed you for months. You stop rejecting an idea before testing it, and you begin asking questions that create movement instead of more fear. You may become more present at home. You may listen without carrying 10 unfinished thoughts into every conversation. The people around you may feel the difference through your patience, clarity, and steadier responses. None of this is a guaranteed result. It is a picture of what becomes possible when your attention is less divided and your actions begin matching what you already know. Right? Waiting ends with me. Let that sentence mark the identity you are leaving behind. You are no longer waiting for perfect certainty before taking one responsible step. The official page is linked below. Review the current offer, the guarantee, and the terms. Then decide whether this 8-minute protocol belongs in the season you are entering. At the end, we will seal the one sentence that separates people who keep waiting for confirmation from those who finally become available to receive it. Chosen one, return to the first truth. The step you took did not purchase a blessing. It revealed that the old version of you no longer has complete control over your choices. The last 10 years were not a magical waiting room. They were years of lessons, losses, skills, standards, and quiet preparation. Some moments wounded you. Others taught you what peace, truth, and alignment actually feel like. Now those lessons are gathering at one door. This is the decade door. It does not promise that everything changes overnight. It means you are finally prepared to recognize choices that your former self could not hold. Say this within yourself. I do not need the whole road to take the next honest step. I will not call preparation abandonment. I am available to recognize what is already opening. Here is the sentence you were promised. I do not wait for certainty to give me permission to recognize what is true. Let it settle. You are not declaring that every impulse is guidance. You are declaring that fear will no longer dismiss every possibility before wisdom has the chance to examine it. Right, I am available now. Do not write it to purchase favor. Do not write it to prove anything to another person. Write it as a marker for the moment you stopped abandoning your own readiness. Should you choose to test the 8-minute Genius Switch protocol, the official page is linked below. Review the current price, guarantee, and terms. Then make the choice that respects both your hope and your responsibilities. And think of one person who needs this message. Someone who has prayed, but feels too mentally tired to know what comes next. Someone who believes the last 10 years were wasted. Someone standing before a decision, still waiting for perfect certainty. Send this message to that one person, not to impress them. Send it because they may need permission to see that one small responsible move can become the beginning of a different direction. Now become quiet. The door does not need to explode open. It only needs to open wide enough for one step. That first step has already happened, and the next one will be revealed through attention, courage, and honest action. The door did not open because you became someone else. It opened because, for one powerful moment, you stopped abandoning the person you were always meant to become.